The main purpose of an altar is to provide focus. It can be used to focus on the divine powers. This is worship. It can be used to focus energy for making changes in our lives. This is magic. It can be used to focus on communication with our higher selves and spirit guides. This is meditation. All of these, worship, magic, meditation, are ways of focusing our psychic energy to accomplish specific ends. The altar can aid in that focus and can be used to augment that energy and enhance the result. Because so much of this process depends upon the energy of you, your altar should be so designed as to have meaning for you and to provoke an emotional and spiritual reaction from you. This is particularly important because no matter how beautiful or correct your altar is, it won't matter to you if it doesn't help you access your own inner energies. Altars have many variations. The simplest altar need be no more than a picture on the wall or a clear space on a table. The most elaborate altars are masterpieces of exquisite art. Most altars are somewhere in between. In this lesson, you will learn how to construct a basic altar, which you can then adapt to your own personal needs, at which you can do magic, work ritual, and commune with the powers that be. Your first consideration is where to put your altar. Most people put their altar in their bedroom. This makes it a very personal space and assures privacy. This is especially good if you live in a home with non-pagan roommates or family who might be intimidated by a holy object such as an altar in the living room. If, however, your home is wholly pagan, you may wish a more public altar in a living room or a special temple room at which your whole family can worship. If you do this, you will probably still want a personal altar in your bedroom to use privately, which is attuned solely to your own energies. In this way, you can enjoy with your family the best aspects of both personal and communal religious devotion. Once you've decided what room to put your altar in, you must decide where in the room to put it. For many, this is an easy decision. If you have only 3 feet of open wall space in your room, and no way to rearrange it otherwise, obviously the altar will go in that 3 feet. But if you have more than one choice available to you, you will wish to consult the principles of geomancy. Geomancy is the art of reading the Earth's energies and aligning ourselves and our works to them, and through them to the energies of the universe as well. Geomancy is an ancient art in all parts of the world. Different peoples have developed different ideas about it, depending upon the needs of their differing cultures. In Asia it is called feng shui, and this form of geomancy has become quite popular lately. The idea of geomancy, like so many other things in magic, comes from the ancient maxim of Hermes Trismegistus, as above, so below. That is to say, the idea that the essential nature of the universe will be reflected in all of her parts, no matter how great or small. The main principles of Western geomancy are exemplified by the magic circle. Briefly, the direction of east is creativity and new beginnings. South is action and manifestation. West is emotion and the subconscious. North is wisdom. Everything that is above or goes to the right, jostle, is connected to the God, to matter and to physical manifestation. Everything that is below or that goes to the left, twathel, or less correctly, widdershins, is connected to the goddess, to spirit and to cleansing. You'll learn more about this in Lesson 5. Your altar may be aligned to any direction whose qualities you desire to draw upon. But it is traditional and generally best for the beginner to place the altar toward the north. North is the direction of wisdom and understanding, where the qualities of the other directions are integrated and learned from. Placing the altar in the north will help you to align yourself to wisdom and integration, and help you to bring these qualities to your magical and meditative practice. Your altar itself also has a geomancy to consider. The right side of the altar is warm. It is associated with the God, the sun, day, physical energy, and the elements of air and fire. The left side of the altar is cool. It is associated with the goddess, the moon and stars, spiritual energy and magic, and with the elements of water and earth. The middle of the altar is associated with spirit, or primeval deity, who is within both goddess and God as well as all other things. The back part of this middle area is associated with primordial deity, that aspect of the goddess that existed before the creation of the God, and might be described as the higher self of the universe. Here is the divine plan, the blueprint of the universe, which is mirrored in every aspect of creation. This is the soul of deity, which is expressed in many different faces. This is often the focal point of the altar, where deity is honored in whatever form is being invoked at the time. The front part of the middle space represents spiritual energy manifesting in the physical world, the union of goddess and god in the ongoing process of creation. This is where your magical working will be done. This area is normally left empty when work is not being done. Before you set up your altar, you will want to purify and bless your altar space. Magic is the focusing of spiritual energy, and spiritual energy is constantly being affected by the actions and emotions of people. Consequently, it needs to be purified or cleansed, to have the residues of emotions and actions removed, so that energy can be refocused and redirected. You'll remember that this spiritual energy, which comes from the goddess, suffuses all people and things, and is the basis of existence. It is directed and shaped by concentrated thought, emotion, and physical action. Once you've cleansed the energy, you may proceed to assemble your altar. This is best done immediately after the cleansing, and you should have all the necessary pieces nearby beforehand. You'll find a basic space cleansing ritual in the Spell of the Month section of this lesson, which you may use to prepare your altar space to receive your altar. The altar table is the surface upon which your altar is set up. It is not necessarily a table as such, but can be any of a wide variety of surfaces. Traditionally, altars have often been erected out of doors. They still are at ritual gatherings and for certain observances. In this circumstance, the altar is often placed directly on the ground or upon a log or boulder. This is the ideal, connecting directly with Mother Earth and through her the universe. In this same spirit, your indoor altar table is best made of wood or stone, as marble, for instance. Metal is not considered desirable, for the horizontal surface at least, though the altar table may stand on metal legs and often includes metal components. Most commonly, an ordinary piece of household furniture is used for the altar table to conserve space. Many people set up their altars on their bedroom dresser top or on a nightstand. Some people use the top shelf of a bookcase, showing reverence for knowledge. Some people, to maintain an even closer link with Earth, will place a bowl or box lined with soil on their altar table and assemble their altar in this, though this is an unusual practice. More commonly, a jar or bowl of earth will be kept on the altar for the same reason, rather than being used as the altar. You may want to use an altar cloth. This is an ancient tradition arising from the time when all cloth was hand-woven and precious, and any type of embroidery a luxury. Today, altar cloths are used because of their beauty and capacity for symbolism. Details of color and decoration can greatly influence the flavor and energy of the altar. If you wish to use an altar cloth, you will want to consider these details when choosing it. If you're able, decorate the altar cloth yourself with embroidery or fabric paint, using symbols that have relevance to your personal philosophy and relationship with deity. This will bond it to you and fill it with your energy. Concentrate on positive, self-empowering thoughts as you work, so that the cloth will be imbued with these and radiate them back to you during ritual and magical working. If you prefer a less handmade altar cloth for any reason, choose a cloth that resonates strongly with you, an heirloom, a treasured gift, or a cloth that puts you in mind of your hopes and dreams. To prepare the altar cloth for the altar, you will want to consecrate it. Do this by holding the cloth in your hands. Say, "I send out from this cloth any negativity which may lie within it," or words to that effect, and visualize the cloth flooded with a strong yellow light, which passes through it carrying out all impurities. Then say something like, "I do bless and consecrate this cloth to my altar, that it may aid me in my workings and my growth." And visualize a clear blue-white light coming down from above and filling the cloth until it glows with white light like the moon. Use this same basic technique to consecrate the altar pieces described below as well. Of your altar pieces, the most important will be these: candles, incense, water, and salt. These represent the four elements, which are considered the building blocks of creation. You will learn more about the 4 elements in Lesson 5. Of course, you will also need matches or a lighter, or, as we call it, the sacred lighting instrument. Strictly speaking, it is preferable to have matches or lighter that are used only for the altar and for no other purpose. But this is not always practical, and a household lighter will do if necessary. You will also keep your magical tools on the altar, but you will not learn about these until Lesson 5, so we will leave off discussion of them until then. Candles represent fire, and are often the most visible element on an altar. Candles have always been used on altars, either actual candles or torches or oil lamps. In earlier times, a bonfire might be built, which would serve as the candle, and also as the actual altar itself. Sometimes this is still done in outdoor ritual. Since the earliest times, the presence of fire in pagan ritual has been of extreme importance. Fire represents the god, as you should remember from Lesson 2. And when you light a flame, you are repeating the goddess act of first creation. Each ritual then begins with a symbolic reenactment of the first creation, when the candles are lit. The candle flame burst forth from the darkness, even as the god burst forth from the goddess, in an explosion of flame and light. Moreover, flame generates energy. Each candle that you light puts out energy of its own, which will add to your working. It acts as a kind of battery, raising the available energy level and increasing your ability. This is why you sometimes see so many candles burning at once on an altar. You can add to this effect by imagining a ball of white light around the flame when you light your candle. This increases the energy the flame puts out. Imagine the ball of light expanding out from the flame for several inches. When you put out the candle, imagine the ball of light shrinking down and disappearing. You can use the ball of light without the flame too, but if you do, make sure you remember to shrink it down when you're done. You may also wish to dress your candles before you use them. This does not mean putting little clothes on them. You dress a candle with essential oil. The most common reason to dress a candle is to do candle magic, about which you will learn more later. But some people like to dress candles whenever they use them. Dressing a candle gives you a chance to focus on the candle and put energy into it, programming it for the purpose it will be used for. By doing this, you imprint your intent upon it and cause it to focus naturally upon what you are trying to do. Then when the candle burns, the energy it generates will already be programmed for your purpose. To dress a candle, you take an appropriate anointing oil, say lavender for a purification or sandalwood for general ritual, and put a little in the palm of your left hand. Now rub your 2 hands together so that they are coated with the oil. As you rub your hands together, visualize white light shining out from between them, and see this white light expand and grow into a ball of light around your hands. Now take up your candle, holding it by the middle. Slowly work the oil up toward the top of the candle and down toward the bottom, a little bit at a time. As you do this, imagine the candle filling with white light, and concentrate upon what it is you wish to do with this candle. The harder you concentrate, the more you will impress your intent upon the candle. Coat the whole candle with oil, including the wick. As the candle burns, it will release energy imprinted with your intent, as well as the scent of the oil it has been dressed with. The number and color of candles you want on your altar is entirely up to you. A chart of colors and their meanings is included to help you choose. Black, wisdom, guidance, protection. Purple, spirituality and psychism. Blue, communication. Green, healing, prosperity, fertility. Yellow, happiness, success. Orange, creativity. Red, strong emotion, passion. Red can be used to add extra energy to any working. Pink, romantic love, compassion. White, innocent, manifestation, general purpose. You will want to do this carefully, as it adds a great deal to the atmosphere and energy of your altar. Beeswax candles are considered preferable, and some people go so far as to make their own, infusing the candles strongly with their personal energy by doing so. But in practice, most people buy regular candles at the local store, and they work perfectly well. Some people use only a single candle on their altar, to represent spirit or primordial deity. Or they might use a single candle to represent only that aspect of deity which they are invoking at the moment. Some people use a matched or contrasting pair to represent goddess and god, spirit and matter, death and life, the great duality whose interaction forms the universe as we know it. These candles might be in any of a number of color combinations used to represent Goddess and God, including black and white, silver, white or gray, and gold, yellow, green and red, indigo and yellow, and so on. In such an arrangement, the Goddess candle goes to the left, the God candle to the right, in keeping with the geometry of the altar as discussed above. Sometimes a spirit candle is placed between them to symbolize their inner unity. You might want to use altar candles to symbolize the 4 elements in elemental colors, or the 3 phases of the Goddess, or whatever conveys the idea of holiness to you and helps you to make the magical shift in consciousness. You may want to include a special candle to honor your ancestors, whether by blood or affinity, or your spirit guides. Also, many magical workings require special candles that will only be used for that working. These candles will be on your altar for anywhere from a few minutes to a few weeks, depending upon the working. So you can see why candles are such an important part of the altar. When you finish a magical working, do not blow your candles out. Use a candle snuffer, your fingers, or a magical blade. This is to make sure that the candle goes out the first time, as it is a bad omen to do otherwise. In general, you may use as many candles on your altar as you wish, in colors that have significance to you. Even the guidelines we have outlined here are just that, guidelines. If you feel strongly that you should arrange your candles in a way that is not consonant with the geometry we have discussed, you should listen to your intuition and do as it tells you. Candles help to raise energy, so the more the merrier. Just be careful not to set yourself on fire. Candles can also be used to represent the 5th element, spirit. In this aspect, the wax represents spirit. The flame represents the body, physical existence. Thus the spirit, wax, feeds the body, flame. And just as the candle can be relit any number of times, so too we see that the soul passes through any number of bodies. Incense represents the element of air. Incense may be of any sort, stick, cone, oil, or powder. But remember, in some rituals you may have to pick the incense up. So choose an incense or an incense burner which allows for this. I have vivid memories of impulsively picking up my grandmother's metal tripod burner by the bowl when it was hot, rather than by the legs as it was meant to be lifted. Don't make this same mistake. With stick incense, lifting is no problem, and it is easy to light, hence its popularity. But it lacks the drama of powdered incense burned over charcoal. In recent years, smudge sticks, loose bundles of dried aromatic plant material, usually sage, cedar, or lavender, have become popular as a kind of stick incense. But if you choose to use these, be aware that they tend to send off sparks, which can be dangerous. If you're going to use cone or powdered incense, you will want to use either a standing incense burner or a hanging thurible on a chain. If you're sensitive to smoke, there are also non-combustible forms of incense, notably anointing oil. Anointing oil comes in all of the same fragrances as combustible incense, and indeed is often used in their manufacture. To use anointing oil in place of incense, a small quantity can be dropped into a candle flame, even as powdered incense might be dropped upon hot charcoal. If you are truly sensitive to scent, you can also use more symbolic forms of incense, such as a cinnamon stick or a sprig of some aromatic plant such as sage, which can be waved over the candle instead of added to the flame. Feather fans are often used to fan the smoke of combustible incense, but can also be used in its place to simply fan the flame of a candle in a symbolic manner. You will want to place the incense to the right of your altar. Later you will learn how to use it more specifically, but for now just enjoy its scent and let it help you to make the magical shift in consciousness. In addition to these items, your magical tools will also have a place on your altar. You will learn about these in Lesson 5. There are also several other items that people usually keep on their altars. A libation dish is used to make liquid offerings to Goddess, God, or spirits. Often, a cup of juice or wine is shared in ritual, and some will be offered to the deities or spirits, either before or after the human participants have drank. To make this offering, or libation, a portion is placed in the libation dish and dedicated to deities or spirits. This is a gesture of respect and sharing, a means of giving back a portion of what you receive to its source. When the ritual is done, the libation is normally disposed of by being returned to the elements. That is to say, it is either emptied outside onto soil or into running water, or perhaps into a special earth pot. In this way, its physical essence is returned to the Mother Earth, to nourish her, and to be reused for the sustenance of new life. However, some people consume the libation themselves after the ritual has ended, feeling that Spirit has taken the part of the offering it desired and left the rest for them. Which of these alternatives is preferable is largely a matter of opinion. In this same vein, a dish for food offerings may be used. An offering such as flour, corn or cornmeal, rice, a cookie or a small piece of fruit, etc., is placed in the offering dish and dedicated to deities or spirits. As such offerings are symbolic in nature, only a small quantity need be used. This is a means of building a psychic bond and showing respect, not of giving sustenance. Like the libation, a food offering is commonly released to the elements, though it may be eaten by the celebrants in the knowledge that Spirit has taken its essential nature, leaving the physical behind. You may wish to have a burning dish on your altar in which to burn paper in rituals that require this. Burning a paper on which we have written our desires is a common form of sympathetic magic. As the paper burns, it is believed that the desires are released into manifestation. Obviously, a burning dish must be fire-resistant and big enough to accommodate a sheet of paper that has been folded once or twice. Frequently, the altar includes images of goddess and god, or tokens representing them. For example, an antler or acorns might betoken the god, a seashell or a moon the goddess. You might also want images of other spirits you call upon, photos of ancestors or drawings of spirit guides. Perhaps a picture or a doll representing an aspect of yourself with which you commonly work, or which you wish to develop further, your higher self, for example, or younger self, or key past lives. This is a bowl filled with earth or rocks to honor Mother Earth and the element of earth. The earth or rocks you keep in it might come from your backyard, or from your birthplace, or from a favorite spot. Or it might be gathered from various travels, the homes of friends, etc. This lends a very special stabilizing energy to an altar. A similar effect can be achieved by a number of rocks placed loosely on the altar, especially rocks you've found. You may want to keep crystals or gems on your altar to amplify and color the energy. You may select them or let them select you, by finding them or selecting stones that call or resonate to you. A common way to tell if a stone or any item is for you is to run your hand over a number of items as a selection of stones, keeping it about an inch above the items, and see which one or ones feels different from the others. The one that is different from the others is calling you, and is the right one to take. Later you will learn the meanings and uses of different stones, and this will help you to select them, but for now, just take ones you like, or that like you. Found objects are lucky in general and are always appropriate for your altar. They are symbolic messages from Spirit, and knowing their meanings is an ancient art. This can be an excellent way of receiving spirit messages or omens, and you will learn more about it in Lesson 11. This doesn't mean just anything you find, of course, but things you happen across in unusual ways or in unusual places, or that speak to you. Putting found items on the altar helps to strengthen your bond with the altar. Lastly, remember that you can make use of seasonal elements on your altar: leaves, flowers, acorns, pine cones, etc. These can do a lot to help you make the shift in consciousness that is needed for magic. They also add tremendously to the atmosphere of your altar, provide variety, and commemorate the sacred wheel of the year. Always remember that your altar is personal to you. It is the visible symbol of your personal connection to Spirit. There are traditions and guidelines as to how to set it up, but ultimately it must be right for you, and that alone determines its proper form. This October, the world of pagan voices comes together in one global gathering, the Pagan World Congress. 5 days, over 100 hours, speakers, rituals, music, and town halls streamed across the world. Join the conversation, shape the future, be part of history. The Pagan World Congress, October 9th through 13th, 2025. Online at paganworld.co.